Have you ever felt like you just don't have enough time in the day to do all the things that you need to do? You're married, you have children, you work, and you're just thinking, oh my gosh, I wish we had 30 hours in a day instead of just 24. Well, guess what? God, who is all wise, gave us 24 hours in a day, and so that is all we need. But yet, there are some things that we can consider that can help us find what I would just call balance in our lives. We're not looking for perfection. What we're looking for is balance. And sometimes things seem so out of balance, and I understand that. I have been blessed to be married going into my 35th year. We have 3 wonderful children that we've raised, and I raised even another family member who parents allowed us to become the legal guardian of him. And so I understand what it's like to work and to be married and to raise children. It's a lot of work. And let alone come to church, be involved in church and things of that nature. There's just a lot of different plates that can be spinning. So where do we begin to even think about balance and what it could look like? I think the starting point for all of us is this idea of having right priorities and just understanding what those are. I think that's point number one. Before you even begin to execute them, just kind of understand what they are. Our priorities really have to do with relationships in our lives. And so when you're married and you're a believer, your priorities probably could look something like this. And this is all based on the design and pattern of God in the Bible. But your first priority is your relationship with God, number one. Your next priority will be your relationship with your spouse, number 2. Then your next priority, obviously, if you have children, would be those children. That's the order we see in the creation story. We see man, we see then God creating his spouse, Eve, and then we see Adam and Eve then having children as a fruit and expression of their love. So here's what I want to tell you. Beyond priorities, here's what's going to help you to be able to find balance in your life, determining what the needs of those priority relationships are. So, you know, as a Christian, as a believer, you need some time with God. You need time just to worship. You need time to read. You need time to pray. You need all those things. So determining when and where you can do that. Then as a spouse, you have to determine what are my spouse's needs. Now that might be a conversation for you both to have. What are my spouse's main needs that they need from me? So let me give you an example. When my wife was at home taking care of our children, and I was out working, the only one working at the time, my wife needed adult conversation. So initially I didn't know that. I just thought, man, I'm gonna come home, I'm tired, and I just need to relax. But I then had to understand that she needed to be able to talk because she had been with a child who couldn't articulate on her level like her. And so I had to make space within myself and in the schedule to be able just to converse with my wife, spend time with her. I also understood she needed some time now to be by herself and do some things she wanted and needed to do, which meant that I needed to take my little one. So we had to work that kind of rhythm, that kind of ebb and flow. And when you understand what your spouse's needs are, then converse about how can we best meet those needs in a system that doesn't just, give one person everything they need while the other one is not getting anything that they need. And then, of course, obviously, your children, and you'll spend time with them. So priorities, understanding the needs of those priorities, but then understanding this can be very helpful. Let me quote this verse to you from Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1. To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. One of the things that can help us understand balance and experience it in our lives is understanding the idea of seasons. Sometimes there's just seasons where the priorities may not look exactly like we see them on paper, so to speak. What do I mean by that? When your children are very, very small, let's say you have a 2 or 3-year-old, a 4-year-old even, they can't go out and work for themselves. You have to work. They can't, take themselves to the doctor. They can't take themselves to the park. There's things that you have to do for them. So there's going to be a great attention and focus on those children's needs in that season because they can't fend for themselves, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that your priorities have shifted or changed. It just means your priorities look different in this season. So when it comes to that understanding, do this. Give yourself grace, give your spouse grace, and give your family grace, because everything doesn't have to be perfect. All we are looking for is making sure there's balance so that everybody's needs are getting met in the season that we're in. I hope that helped you. Have a good day.